So, today we're going to be talking about the tragedy of the commons and how it is going to tie in with climate change, the theory being tragedy of the commons and my subject being climate change. So to begin, let's start with the theory. I will be talking about what the theory is, and it came up from a man named Hardin. As I said, we're going to show you how it fits into climate change, and we're going to show a few examples of that and play a couple of videos just to give you a broader idea of what it is. So let's start off with what is the tragedy of the commons. So let's say we have farmer A, farmer B, farmer C, and farmer D. Easy enough, right? So they all share one, big pasture, field, whatever, and they do it for their sheep. So let's say farmer A has 4, farmer B has 4, farmer D has 4, and farmer C has 4. This would then make the field 100% sustainable, without 10% degradation. That way, they keep it this clean, they keep it this, clear enough with just these 4. The field can regrow, sustain, life, and be enough for whatever they have, which is like a total of what, like 16 sheep. But let's say they add another sheep. Let's say farmer A decides to put one in. So in that case, it would be 90% sustainable with farmer A having 5 and the others still having 4 sheep each. Which they're going to say, well, that's just unfair. So then, oh wow, look at that, they just added more. The more they do that, it becomes less sustainable. So now each of them have 5. And then one's going to put in 1, and then the others are going to put in 1, so that's 6 sheep. Adding to the unsustainable, pasture, which make it impossible for the grass to hold life, and then eventually, not only will the pasture be dead, so will the sheep, and the farmers will be out of business, and it'll just be a bad thing all around.
While the world continues to debate how to handle climate change, the facts are crystal clear. Climate change is real. In fact, 17 of the 18 hottest years on record, that's dating back to 1880, have occurred since 2001. Earth's average surface temperature has risen by nearly 2 degrees Fahrenheit since the late 19th century. A 2017 report from the U.S. government's Climate Science Special Report states, quote, "It is extremely likely that human influence has been the dominant cause of the observed warming since the mid-20th century." As the Earth warms, one of the major concerns is the melting of Earth-based ice. Currently, glaciers are retreating all around the world, and massive ice sheets in Greenland and Antarctica are losing mass. From 2002 to 2006, Greenland lost as much as 60 cubic miles of ice. Similarly, Antarctica lost 36 cubic miles from 2002 to 2005. As ice declines and the oceans warm, the higher the seas rise. Since 1900, the global average sea level has risen 7 to 8 inches, the most occurring since 1993. This rate of rise is higher during any preceding century, putting coastal cities at risk. As record high temperature events have been increasing, the number of record low temperature events have been decreasing since 1950. Now, this doesn't mean that we will see fewer winter storms with climate change, but we will see a warmer shift in climate extremes.
And video 2 will give you a understanding about, how it would kind of affect the economy and how it affects the agriculture and, vice versa. Well, in a way, it just kind of blends in together, and it shows you how it has a bigger impact on us in a sense that, pollution is one of the main reasons why climate change is also a huge escalator. And it'll give you more of that idea.
Wow, why the screaming? Right, the economy. Yeah, it's a roller coaster ride. Up, down, boom, bust. Climate change is making the ride rougher. You see, the environment is the life support system for us and for our economy. We depend on clean air, water, and a stable climate. That's right, without a stable climate, we can't have a prosperous economy. Climate change is already having serious impacts on our environment and economy. Some areas will sometimes see too much water. Other areas won't get enough. Temperature increases will affect plants and animals, driving some towards extinction, and they will threaten people too, especially the very young, the elderly, and people that work outside. High temperatures can also disrupt power and rail services. All these events will have a high personal and economic cost. We need to act on climate change if we want a healthy environment and a healthy economy. The consequences of not acting now could be devastating. But if we act fast, the benefits will be enormous. Investing in renewable energy will create new modern industries. Making businesses pay to pollute will encourage efficiency and innovation. Making better use of resources at home will save money. All these actions will reduce pollution by leaving fossil fuels in the ground. We're making progress, but we need to do much more and do it much faster. We need to make the right choices to protect the environment and the economy. Spread the word. Together, we can change climate change.
To conclude this, the tragedy of the commons ties in directly with the climate change, as I've been saying. It was easy enough to choose this in the sense that, well, it just gave that perfect idea. It just goes together in the sense that tragedy of the commons, explains how like I was saying with the farmers and the sheep, with them adding more and more to that small field, it's going to give out, and then eventually it's going to have a huge effect on the rest. In a sense, that's what the climate change is doing. With the temperatures rising and humans, keep polluting, it's just going to keep killing our natural resources. And eventually, we'll see what happens from then on. And this was the idea of it, so thank you.